Hey everyone, Shabby Gamer here, and welcome back to the WWE 2K15 Universe Mode, and this, which is the next episode of the Ring of Honor brand's Ring of Honor Television. Let's have a quick look at the card we've got set for you tonight. We're going to start off with the Briscoe brothers, Mark and Jay Briscoe, taking on Scum's Jimmy Jacobs and Corey Graves. Then we're going to see Alberto Del Rio take on Rhino. Tomasso Ciampa will take on Roderick Strong. The Ring of Honor champion Samoa Joe will take on Daniel Bryan. And then our main event this evening will see a Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship match as Chris Hero and Cesaro defend the championships against Kazerian and Daniels. So let's get straight into our first match of the evening. As I just said, our first match is going to be the Briscoe brothers, Mark and Jay Briscoe, taking on Jimmy Jacobs and Corey Graves of Scum. And we are underway with our first match. Going to start with Jimmy Jacobs and Mark Briscoe in the ring. Just a quick plug before we get kicking off in this. If you do check out the Global Force Wrestling playlist this week, we are currently doing the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. A lot of the Ring of Honor guys are over there this week, so which is why we've got a very limited roster here tonight. But definitely worth a watch. We are doing 7 full days. We're on day number... I think day 4 has just been uploaded before this video. So yeah, you should have day number 4 there if you want to watch it. Now, obviously we are building towards day number 7, which will be Sunday. Sunday with the main pay-per-view evening. We'll have the final of the Super Juniors tournament as well as the Global Force Wrestling Championship defended. And even on day 7, we are going to have the Ring of Honor Television Championship defended over there as well. Looks like Austin Aries may be defending the championship in a triple threat match against Davey Richards and Jay Lethal. Corey Graves trying to pick up a cheap victory there with his feet on the middle rope. Seemed to have backfired now. Seems to have made Mark Briscoe a bit more aggressive. He tags in his brother Jay. There's a headlock and there's a back elbow on Corey Graves by Jay Briscoe. There's Corey with that spinning heel kick. And now a drop kick to Jay Briscoe as well. Jay with a front chancery. Corey Graves reverses, slamming Jay face first onto the mat, then hitting a drop kick to the knee as well. Raking his foot across the face of Jay Briscoe. Brings him back up to his feet, gets around the back. Couple of back elbows by Jay Briscoe as well. Back elbow by Graves on Briscoe and then hits him with a tilt-a-whirl DDT. Corey Graves across to bring in his partner Jimmy Jacobs. Jacobs, oh, great tornado DDT as well. Thought Jay Briscoe was going to catch him there, and Jacobs managed to reverse it into that DDT. Jay Briscoe brings in his mother. His mother? He brings in his mother. He brings in his brother, Mark Briscoe, who hits the belly-to-belly suplex on Jimmy Jacobs. Brings him back to his feet. And there's that big slam. Mark pulling Jimmy Jacobs into the middle of the ring. Jay takes Corey Graves off the apron. Could we have a quick victory here? We do. The Briscoe brothers pick up a quick victory here over Scum. Very quick victory. Great tornado head scissors early on in the match. And this is the big slam that finished it off. Mark Briscoe getting the pin as Jay Briscoe took Corey Graves off the apron. Great victory here for the Briscoes. They know, of course, that Kazerian and Daniels are getting the tag team opportunity here tonight against the Kings of Wrestling. However, victories like this is only going to strengthen the Briscoes' opportunity to get a title shot themselves. And match number 2 of the evening is going to see Scum's Rhino take on Alberto Del Rio. And here we go, Del Rio versus Rhino. Del Rio's not had a hell of a lot of opportunities in the universe mode. Neither's Rhino, really. Rhino Had a great opportunity for CZW as he was drafted in for the Tournament of Death weekend a few weeks back. But not a huge amount of opportunity here in Ring of Honor. Both these guys know that a victory here will definitely boost them up the rankings and maybe open up a bit more singles wrestling for them. Del Rio just slamming the arm of Rhino into the ring, bringing Rhino back to his feet. And I have been wondering recently with WWE 2K15 coming out in a couple of months' time, and I know they've got a huge roster of about 127, I think it was, something like that. So I was wondering whether guys such as Rhino, who's currently working for NXT, may be involved in the game somewhere. We know by having Austin as the main guy in the game, surely there must be some sort of attitude basis in the story mode. And with Rhino being around in that sort of time, working for ECW and WWE, it wouldn't surprise me if he is part of the actual roster on the game. As Rhino goes for the pin on Del Rio, only for the 2 count. Obviously, next year's game, we know we're not going to have any Del Rio in next year's game. We know we're not going to have CM Punk in next year's game. We know we're going to have an AJ Lee in next year's game. As Rhino looks like he may pick up the victory here with that tornado cutter, and he does. Rhino gets, that's 2 incredibly quick victories here tonight. And Rhino picking up the victory against Alberto Del Rio is not so much a shock, but it wasn't exactly what we were anticipating. It was the tornado cutter that finished it off. Rhino gets Del Rio up on his shoulders and spins him round into that cutter for the pin. Great victory here for Rhino. And after a bad opening match for Scum, this one seems to have got a lot better for them. Great victory here for Rhino. And match number 3 this evening is going to be Tomasso Ciampa taking on Roderick Strong. And here we go. So as I was saying in the last match before Rhino picked up the quick victory, we know for sure we're not going to have CM Punk, we're not going to have Del Rio, we're not going to have AJ Lee. All those 3 are definitely going to be dropped because of obviously how they left the company. With recent things happening over the past few days, I'm pretty sure we're not going to have Hulk Hogan either. So it's going to be interesting who they do put on the roster. As I said, Rhino's a possibility, as well as I think Brian Kendrick is working in NXT recently. I know he's been training Eva Marie, who's actually already been confirmed to the game, Eva Marie. So there's a possibility you might even see the likes of Brian Kendrick on there. It'd be great if they do bring in sort of like an NXT mode, almost like a career mode where you can wrestle in NXT and maybe you start off taking on the standard NXT guys, then you move up to the, not so much the legends as such, but the more established talent like your Rhino and Brian Kendrick. Great scoop slam there by Tomasso Ciampa. Tomasso's not had a huge amount of matches so far in this universe mode either. And that is my phone. I will make that quiet. It's already on quiet. How was that so loud? My phone's on silent. Why was that so loud? Bloody people. Sorry, that's me reading my text message. There's a tornado, or spinning lariat, sorry, by Tomasso Ciampa. Followed up by the headbutts to the grounded Roderick Strong. Ciampa throws Strong into the corner. A strong reversing though, with a running dropkick. And now a dropkick to the grounded Ciampa as well. Stamped to the back of the arm by Strong. Brings Ciampa back to his feet. Ciampa dropping Strong flat on his face. And a little bit of a spoiler alert actually. I have been reading the results from the recent TNA tapings. They are starting to do like a Global Force Wrestling invasion of TNA now. And one of the guys that was actually in the most recent set of tapings, and you probably are not going to believe me, but it was Tomasso Ciampa. I know Ciampa parted ways with Ring of Honor recently. And now it seems as though he's well, he had a match on TNA. Whether he signed for them is a different story, but it's a great guy for TNA to get a hold of. I think they also had Trevor Lee as well, Kurt Hawkins. Who else was on there? Sonjay Dutt was there as well. Yeah, some real. I was really surprised when I read Tomasso Ciampa was there. I really was, because he's not on the Global Force roster at the moment either. I'm not sure if it was a match for Impact or whether it might have been an Explosion recording. I'm not sure, but either way, it's great to have him there. Submission hold here by Ciampa, just pressing the knee into the centre of the back of Roderick Strong and wrenching the arms back. That's got damage to the shoulders and the rotator cuffs of Strong. Strong manages to get himself out there, but Ciampa back in control of the front chancery. Misses the uppercut, and Roderick Strong gets him with the tilt-a-whirl neckbreaker. Strong now with the springboard splash. Pulls Ciampa into the centre of the ring. Going to go for the pin. 1, 2. Only a 2 count. But Strong catches Ciampa straight away. Brings him up into the powerbomb position. Sit out powerbomb by Roderick Strong. 2, 3, and that's all. Roderick Strong picks up the victory here over Tomasso Ciampa. And finally we have a match that lasts more than a minute. The hip toss there by Ciampa. That was the 2 count, and then Strong catches Ciampa straight into this sit-out powerbomb for the 1, 2, 3. Great victory here for Strong. I mean, if you've been watching a lot of my Ring of Honor recently, you may have noticed that Roderick Strong's been extradited from Kingdom, been replaced in that formation by Matt Taven, and Strong was one of the reasons behind Mike Bennett losing his Ring of Honor Television Championship to Austin Aries. So it wouldn't surprise me if Strong and Mike Bennett go at it in the coming months. And here we go. Daniel Bryan has a fantastic opportunity here to put himself at the top of the list for a Ring of Honor Championship match. A victory here of Samoa Joe could really tie him into that position. However, Joe's no easy feat to defeat. We've seen that he won the championship at the very first pay-per-view, which was Glory by Honor, I believe. He won it in a fatal 4-way elimination match. He won it in a fatal 4-way match, pinning Sami Zayn. He then went on to defend the belt at the Best in the World pay-per-view a couple of weeks back, defeating CM Punk in a 15-minute Iron Man match. So yeah, Samoa Joe's really at the top of his game at the moment. Bryan brings Joe back to his feet. And Daniel Bryan is obviously no pushover himself, a fantastic technical wrestler. As we've seen in recent years, very injury prone now, but still. Bryan with the front chancery now. Picking Joe up and slamming him down in the suplex. Joe makes his way back to his feet. Back elbows by Joe. On Daniel Bryan. Two guys lock up in the middle of the ring. Joe wins the strength contest. No surprises there. And a sort of super kick to the stomach of Daniel Bryan. But Joe didn't follow it up. And Bryan locks him back in. But Joe reverses into that headlock. Now just a few knees to the face. Bryan throwing Joe into the ropes. And Joe comes back with a running DDT. Elbows to the back of Bryan, slamming him down back to the mat. Samoa Joe now went for the neck breaker, but turns it into that chop across the chest. And now just a boot to the spine of Daniel Bryan as well. Bryan's back up. There goes Bryan with a backdrop on Samoa Joe. Again, Joe back to his feet, but Bryan throws him into the corner, then just hits him with some kicks to the chest. And now just a foot across the throat of the grounded Samoa Joe. Now slamming his arm into the mat again. Joe slams Bryan down. And then alley-oops him over the top. Back heel kick there by Samoa Joe. I apologise if you can hear that incredibly loud moped that just went past my house. Sounds like it's going really loud and it's like travelling at 10 miles an hour. Hip toss by Daniel Bryan. Bringing Joe back to his feet. Another hip toss. Slamming the arm again into the mat. Bryan obviously trying to do some damage to that arm, knowing that he can lock in the label lock. Huge kick to the back of the head by Bryan again. Just a stamp to the back of the arm. And now just slamming the other arm into the mat as well. Brings Joe back to his feet. There's a shoulder block by Joe. A neck breaker by Daniel Bryan as well. Bryan pulls Joe into the centre of the ring. Goes to the pin. One. Only a 1 count. Joe now twisting the arm of Daniel Bryan. And again, that chop to the chest, knocking Bryan down. Followed up by some elbows to the back of the neck. Brings Bryan back to his feet. Has him up on his shoulders. And there's the air raid slam by Samoa Joe. Now Joe slides outside the ring. And Joe's taken the top off the announce table. Bryan's back to his feet. Not sure if Joe's noticed that yet. He does now as he catches Daniel Bryan, throws him against that announce table. And what does Samoa Joe have planned here? Joe's up on the turnbuckle. Oh, Samoa Joe! Samoa Joe! With a diving elbow drop on Daniel Bryan through the announce table. Well, that was a little bit uncalled for, wasn't it really, Joe? He had Daniel Bryan exactly where he wanted him. Hit that air raid slam. And then takes him outside and puts him straight through the announce table. Bryan got to hold the ring steps. Thinks better of it. Joe now with a boot to Bryan on the outside. Bryan throws Joe into the ring. Hits a chop across the chest and a boot to the side of the head. And Joe locking in the Kaklina Clutch. I can't even say it properly. Joe locking in the rear naked choke. Daniel Bryan's still with it though. And Bryan fights his way out. Joe thinks he may have done enough damage, but Bryan springs straight back to his feet. The two guys lock up. Joe with the front chancery. There's the snapmare. Now locking in another submission, just putting the knee right into the centre of the back of Daniel Bryan. Wrenching back on the chin. Bryan fights out there with a headbutt to Samoa Joe. There's the arm drag there by Daniel Bryan. Again now Joe locking in the rear naked choke, and this time surely Daniel Bryan's going to have to give in. And he does. Your Ring of Honor champion Samoa Joe is victorious here. Still can't believe he put Daniel Bryan through the announce table with a diving elbow. That was just... that blew my mind, that did. There's the air raid slam. I thought this could have been all. This was what I assumed was the beginning of the end. But then this diving elbow through the... how Joe got that much height and distance, I've got no idea. He's not exactly the smallest guy in the world. And then there it is, the rear naked choke. Not sure Bryan realised just how close he was to the ropes. But he tapped out vigorously. And our main event this evening is going to be Cesaro and Chris Hero, the Kings of Wrestling, defending their Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships against Bad Influences Chris Daniels and Kazerian. Finally, we're at our main event, and this game doesn't half frustrate the crap out of me. It really does. I've recently remembered why I stopped doing tag team main events, because this one just broke the entire game. I've had to improvise, and I'm running this for an exhibition match rather than through the universe mode, and I can always rectify whatever happens here in the universe mode. Like I said, it's just frustrating, really frustrating, this game. I really hope that when 2K16 comes out, it just doesn't crash anywhere near as much this one does. But anyway, enough about the moaning. Of course, this is a Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship match. Bad Influence defeated the Briscoe brothers last week and became the #1 contenders. And this is their prize, a shot at Cesaro and Chris Hero, the Kings of Wrestling. We've got Cesaro and Kazerian in the ring at the moment. Cesaro in control with that belly to back slam. Kazerian makes his way back to his feet, but Cesaro straight across and brings in his partner Chris Hero for the first time in this match. Hero there with a drop kick on a great neck breaker by Kazerian. Kazerian brings back in Daniels. Two very good tag teams this one. I think Cesaro and Hero are probably the stronger individual competitors, but we'll find out in this match who's the strongest individuals, strongest team, sorry. There's Hero there with a snapmare, followed up by the elbow drop. Daniel's back to his feet though, hitting that running forearm. Brings Chris Hero back to his feet. Hero catches him in the headlock. Cesaro is not in the ring. Chris Hero, sorry. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know what's happened to me today. I can't talk to save my life. Hero back to his feet. Kazerian in the ring now. Daniels tagged him in. Kazerian slamming across the arm of Hero. Now catches him in the headlock. Hero gains momentum though, throwing Kazerian into the corner. Following up with a couple of elbows. Hero brings Kazerian back to his feet. Oh, and there's the big knockout elbow to the back of the head, and this could be all. Hero's taken Kazerian out. Cesaro's taken Daniels off the apron. And a quick and simple title defense here for Cesaro and Chris Hero, the Kings of Wrestling, retain their championships in it was a very, very fast match here against Kazerian and Daniels. And this was the finish. Hero set Kazerian up for the neckbreaker, releases and spins round with that discus elbow to the back of the head. Kazerian can't defend himself, doesn't see it coming. Cesaro straight across and takes Daniels off the apron. And the Kings of Wrestling again retain their tag team championships here in Ring of Honor. And as I've said in the past, it's going to take a very, very special team to take these belts off of the Kings of Wrestling. We've seen Kingdom do it once, but in the rematch, Hero and Cesaro won the belt straight back. And they've held them ever since. I think they've had them for this entire universe mode so far, bar maybe 1 or 2 episodes. Well, anyway, guys, that is the end of this episode of Ring of Honor. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know my commentary's been a bit dodgy again. But thank you very much for watching. If you did get this far, be sure to check out Global Force. As I said earlier in the episode, we are doing the Best of the Super Juniors tournament at the moment. We are 4 days into that now, so be sure to check that out. We've still got 3 days left, culminating the big pay-per-view on Sunday, so make sure you check that out. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I've been Shabby Gamer, and goodbye.